Next up,
The Alamo Bowl, number 12, Washington versus number 20, Texas.
this is a tough one because we the Texas lineup is a bit up in the air. Let's start with Washington. Washington quietly had one of the best years in the entire country. They were, one poor performance against basically Arizona State in a 7-point loss from being almost a playoff team. They led the country throwing the football. Michael Penix transfers in under Kalen DeBoer, a former coach of his, by the way. He played under him when they were both at Indiana. Rejoins him at Washington, has a marvelous year, leads the country in passing. He's coming back for another season. The sentiment around Washington is really positive, and rightly so. We didn't talk about Kalen DeBoer a lot. We didn't talk about Michael Penix a lot, but these are two guys that came in there and totally changed that team. They went from 4-8 to 10-2. Everyone wants to talk about what Lincoln Riley did, and rightly so, right? USC was a 4-win team, and then they turned it around and obviously had a marvelous season and finished in that Pac-12 championship game, even though they lost it. But Washington was right there as well. This is an offense that scored 40 points per game. They throw the ball really well. And when you're watching the Alamo Bowl, when Michael Penix throws in rhythm, one, it's beautiful. And two, I immediately just think big play. Big play. Like when he hits his back foot and the ball comes out and that timing is good and there is a rhythm to their passing game that is really beautiful. And when he's in rhythm, they're incredibly tough to stop. This is a really good team, and I think Texas is in for it. I question the motivation for Texas. They're 8-4. This is the third time in 4 years that they've been to the Alamo Bowl, and there's going to be wild speculation about and questions about the lineup. Bijan, DeMarvion Overshown, Roschon Johnson. Don't expect them to play at the time that we, do this podcast. And if Bijan's not playing, that takes the element of the Texas Longhorns away from them. Because in the second half of the year, Quinn Ewers was not very good. And they had to and needed to and did rely on Bijan Robinson to go out and win games. He's the Doak Walker Award winner for a reason. He was the best running back in the country. There are other guys that had great years, but this guy's dynamic. Nobody breaks more tackles, makes more people miss than Bijan Robinson. He catches it well out of the backfield. The offense was Bijan-centric, and rightly so. And so if he's not out there, then they're going to have some problems. Jonathan Brooks and Keelan Robinson, they'll be the main two backs if Johnson and Bijan don't play. I don't know. I mean, big moment for them. They've recruited really well, and you get the sense that this is a great time for them to kind of look and see what they've got. But that's not even the main question of this game for me. The main question for Texas in this game, the Alamo Bowl, is going to be, what does Quinn Ewers look like? Because it's not even about the matchup against Washington, but if he doesn't start playing better than what he did down the stretch, then everyone's just going to be waiting for January 9th. What happens January 9th? The spring semester starts. Guess who's going to be walking around campus? Arch Manning. That is a giant cloud over Quinn Ewers. I think we all acknowledge that. Hudson Card, he's in the portal. Ewers now is sitting there with the shadow of Arch Manning getting larger and larger and larger. That TCU game was not good for Ewers. He was 17 of 39. The Oklahoma State game was not great for Ewers. And in the last two games, they kind of avoided him and went heavy Bijan, and rightly so. He threw 21 passes and then 16 passes in the last two games. Bijan was the deal. Well, now you're not going to have Bijan, or probably not going to have Bijan. And so this is what do you got, buddy? This is a almost a tryout. Because if it doesn't go well, The problem is, I don't know if it matters how well he plays in the spring because that fan base is going to be clamoring for Arch Manning. You see, to me, it's not even about the coaches, even though they're the ones making the decision. It's more about the fan base. You know, if Ewers wants to retain his job next year, he's going to need to throw the ball well in the Alamo Bowl and possibly win that game. And it's going to be very difficult because, again, Washington is a heck of a team. Washington's defense, by the way, was number one in the Pac-12 in terms of rushing defense, in terms of yards per carry, right? Not Utah, Washington. So this is a Washington team, folks, that you better not look past them. They could be headed into a point where they're going to be a preseason top 10 team, even though we all hate preseason polls. 10-2 this year. Their quarterback coming back. Their defense played really well. Texas, huge question marks. They were 8-4. Their quarterback doesn't have Bijan Robinson to lean on, or likely not. And he didn't play well down the stretch. How do we not take Washington? I'm taking Washington. I don't care if the ball game is in Texas. It's the third time in 4 years Texas has taken a trip to the Alamo Bowl. And I don't know if Ewers is going to play all that well. I really don't. That Texas pass defense was okay this year. Maybe you could say good. I would say good. They were second in the Big 12. But again, like, that passing offense from Washington is the best in the country. This is not just like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. They're really good. Give me Washington in the Alamo Bowl, and they might win it by a couple of scores.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.